Growing your own vegetables is something that appeals to most of us, but the devil can be in the detail. And I'm here in my in-ground vegetable garden on the farm, and there's a few issues that I have that make vegetable growing a bit harder than it needs to be. In my soil I have abundant things called curl grubs which eat the roots of my plants, and also I'm on tank water out here in the country. So I've got a very limited supply of water through summer. So I'm going to show you a method that helps to eliminate both of those problems, the wicking bed. So I want to teach you how to construct a wicking bed. In this case I'm going to use a rather clever new Australian invention called WaterUps. To construct a wicking bed you obviously need a frame, and in this case we've got a ready to use frame that just screws together, created by the WaterUps people for their particular system. So we've already put that together, and very importantly the bottom has to be level because we are constructing a reservoir of water in the bottom, and to get the maximum amount of water into that reservoir it needs to be absolutely level. And the next step is that we have a food grade liner which goes into the bottom. So this is constructed from food grade plastic, and at one point here there's a hole. Now this is an overflow hole, so that when the reservoir is absolutely full, if we've got a lot of rainfall and it gets to the top, you have an overflow so that excess water can get away. So our liner goes into the level base and folds out, and our overflow hole lines up exactly with the outside of the frame. So I'm just installing the overflow plug which fits neatly through the holes drilled in the liner and also the frame. So we line those two up and then just screw that on, and the washer will hold it nice and watertight. So once our liner is installed and it's nice and level, we are ready to put in these wicking bed platforms. So this is an Australian invention called WaterUps, and the idea is that you have a platform which sits inside our liner, and it has these legs which are to draw the water up. So a whole lot of water sits underneath here in a reservoir, and at the base of each leg are a series of holes through which the water can move up through those legs and into the potting mix that sits up inside the bed. So they're constructed such that there is the opportunity for the overflow. So I'll put the first one in, and that will sit in the corner, and we'll then install the other 7. So there are 8 platforms in total which will be interconnected with each other to form the reservoir underneath, and then we'll fill the legs up with a material called Perlite. Now this is a material that is very porous, like a actual wick if you like, that sits in those legs to draw the moisture up and water the plants from below, which is the real strength of the wicking bed system. Because if the water's coming from below, there is no chance for it to evaporate from the topsoil as happens when you water conventionally from above with a hose or whatever. So we're now ready to install the rest of these platforms. So I've now got 8 WaterUps tiles installed inside the bed. The next question is, how do we get the water in? We could just water over the top with a hose, but you'd lose a whole lot of water to evaporation that way. So the cleverness of the system is that each tile has a potential inlet, so that we just put a pipe such that we can put our hose in the top and put the water directly into the reservoir with no loss at all to evaporation. So our WaterUps tiles are constructed so that the inlet could go on any one of these 8 tiles, but obviously we only need one inlet. So what we need to do is just cut out this bit of plastic so that their inlet pipe then just clips straight into the top of that, and that inlet can really be anywhere within the bed that we want it to be. So I've just finished cutting out this little circle of plastic to create our inlet hole that can go to the recycling bin, and we're now ready to insert this inlet pipe, which has 3 little lugs which are designed to clip into holes. We have a lid there, so whenever we want to fill up the reservoir, we just take the lid off, put our hose in there, and the water is going directly into the reservoir. And you can tell when the reservoir is full because there'll be a little bit of overflow starting from our outlet pipe there. So I've just used these clips to bind all the tiles together so they don't move around too much in the bottom. We're now ready to fill up the legs with the perlite, which acts as the wicking agent to get the water out of the reservoir and up into the potting mix where the plant roots are growing. So in order to stop our potting mix falling down through cracks and clogging up the reservoir, we've just got a strip of geotextile fabric which I'm tucking into the side of the liner, and then it can just fold down over there and we're ready for our potting mix. Exciting stuff. So we're ready to fill up our brand new wicking bed, and I've chosen a premium potting mix. So always a good idea to look for this red Australian Standards mark, because that indicates a premium potting mix that already has enough fertilizer in to keep your plants growing for at least 3 months. Having now filled up the bed with a premium quality potting mix, the final step before planting is to fill up our reservoir. So it's a simple matter of taking the cap off and just running water down from the hose, and it's a very simple thing to know when it's full because you'll see water starting to trickle out of the overflow outlet. So having filled up the entire reservoir at the bottom, water will be starting to seep upwards by capillary action to water the roots of the plants that we're going to put in here. Happy wicking.